like there's where different people feel like AI should be is always going to be different depending on your business, right? Like, and of course, there's people who think AI is going to come for their job and so on. And I really don't think it will. I really think it's going to give everybody superpowers, or already is giving people superpowers. But of course, look, there's places where it really shouldn't be, and I suppose that's pretty down to like decision making. I think again, and another quote from one of our customers is that he's able to do with 2 people what another firm of 10 people would be able to do, right? Because so much work is just copying and pasting from emails and pasting into a CRM, or answering emails all day, or moving things around, moving files around, getting approval manually from things. These days, you can automate everything. You can build better interface for your data, for your work, and that's where people are saving hours every day. Hiring, we have our NoLoco app to handle hiring, and we implemented AI to just kind of do a first level screening, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. Now, a lot of applications systems, ATSs, already do this sort of thing anyway, or they've all kind of started to do it. So it's probably not necessary. But if you're a smaller business that hasn't forked over for one of those and you're currently doing applications through.
Hello everyone, I am here with Darragh and Rodrigo to talk about AI and no code. I'm super happy to be here. So let's start this conversation because I am pretty sure that it will be very insightful. Darragh, can you introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely, yeah. Hey everyone, my name is Darragh. I'm the CEO and founder of NoLoco. We let you build flexible business apps for modern teams. What that means is we give your ops teams the power to build the tools your business needs with native data, logic, automation, and of course, AI, all without writing code. So that means we allow you to build things like custom CRMs, custom project management tools, all from your data without having to write any code in a flexible, powerful, no-code platform.
Super nice. And Rodrigo?
Hi, Duda. I'm Rodrigo Prior, CEO of Wisely. I have been working on digital from the past 27 years, and specifically in the past 15 with startups related to marketing. 7 years ago, we founded Wisely, and we help e-commerces to achieve better results when it comes to campaigns using machine learning and AI-driven insights. Today, I'm very excited to discuss how companies are turning their work more effective using new technologies, and thanks for inviting me.
Super nice. I organized some questions here, so let's start with the first one. From your perspective, what has been the most significant shift in the market over the past 2 years? We can start with Darragh, and then Rodrigo can answer and contribute as well.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like the word no code, I suppose, was only being really birthed, I suppose, when NoLoco got started. We started around late 2021, toward the end of the pandemic, and no code was exploding. But of course, AI, as we know it today, hasn't really been mentioned at all. Like it was a very different domain back then. And over the last 2-3 years, those two worlds have just collided big time. And now the words no code and AI are in many ways synonymous for people trying to build tools, apps, solutions for their business. To me, that's the biggest shift. We've seen it with our customers, we've seen it in our own team, we've seen it in our product, we've seen it in our competitors' products. Everything is kind of becoming intertwined on that front, I'd say.
And Darragh, how do you see the movement? Specifically, we have seen a lot of these moves in Latin America, but people creating not only tools but entire products using tools like NoLoco.
Yeah, it's a huge trend. I mean, that's why our space started as a way for people to build tools and products without code. And then, in the last year or two, we've had really interesting products come out that have allowed you to write or build products or tools with code, but without writing. So kind of question becomes, are they no-code tools? Are they AI tools? Or, are they both just solving the same problem in a slightly different way? And I think what's most interesting now is we've got platforms like ours, Noloco, where you've got all of the benefits of the no-code platform, where you can handle things like security and databases and not having to figure out deployments. But then you can put this AI layer on top, where you can build things super quickly in like language that was designed for people who, again, don't know how to write code, shouldn't know how to write code. And, you're able to just talk to it like a human being and get something out at the end super quickly.
And what were companies and professionals doing in 2020 or 2021 that no longer makes sense today in 2025? Because, of course, lots of things changing now.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think, again, it's going to be down to like how that world has changed with AI and things, right? So there was, I think even for us, like things like writing out specs, writing out briefs, whether it's for your team, whether it's for your clients, a lot of that was obviously 100% manual, right? And potentially not integrated into the rest of your systems. And now these days it's way easier to use no-code automation or AI systems to kind of bring all that information to one place, use an AI assistant to draft your content, draft your tools, whatever it might be. I think that everybody's kind of bringing everything together into one place, and that just wasn't possible, in 2021. I'm sure you've seen the same thing, Rodrigo, right?
And I was wondering, have you seen situations where teams are maybe overhiring or overcomplicating processes because they don't yet trust in no code or maybe AI?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it depends on the size of the company. So bigger companies have been way slower to adopt no code, and then in the more recent years, AI. And they've just still got big engineering teams, development teams, IT teams that are kind of reinventing the wheel time and time again to build out these systems, purchase off-the-shelf software that is overcomplicated, over administrative. And then you've got the other side of that spectrum. You've got small teams who just don't have the capacity to overhire, and then they've got to just figure it out themselves. And they're the ones who are actually benefiting the most from AI, but benefiting the most from no code, because they are building their own tools, using AI to do it faster, using AI to brainstorm, and really everything in between. So I think definitely smaller teams, to their credit, not very guilty of this. I think they don't have a choice but to trust these tools in many cases. Bigger teams, though, for sure. I'd say in the last 12 months, so big shift. So a lot of people are coming. There's newer solutions out there, and there's a lot of people coming around to understanding that there's an element of trust that you can give to these tools and these teams as they mature.
Wonderful. And what do you think are the hiding costs, financial or culture, and so on, of maintaining outdated internal workflows?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good one. We get asked this type of thing a lot. So what are the hidden costs of maintenance on these like workflows, no code or AI or otherwise? And I don't think they are hidden costs. I think largely speaking, they're the same costs as if you wrote them with a team of developers, right? If anything, they're cheaper, right? Like any process you put in place, whether it be manual or automated or code or not AI, there's a cost to kind of making sure that's up to date as the parts move around it. And if that process was written by a team of 10 developers, that's in many ways going to always be more expensive than if it was written by one smart operations manager in a company that has to kind of remember that as the processes change around it, that needs to be maintained and kept up to date, or as new data gets introduced. So I think there definitely there are costs. Of course, there's costs to that, the burden of keeping it all intact. But in truth, it's probably lower, right? Particularly because these tools can also help us, right? These tools can notify us when things are connected and those integrations break, versus if you've written it in code, that's not often the case. And there are just ways to monitor these things and keep it all on track and even document it. The tools themselves are much more visual, so it's kind of easier for someone new coming onto the team to kind of go, okay, these are the systems that we have in place. But I think the two are pretty synonymous in my mind.
In my daily basis, I deal mostly with Latin America companies, and there are a feeling of a FOMO. People are trying to use artificial intelligence as a need for the future, but sometimes I feel people are trying to push artificial intelligence in some scenarios that we don't need to use that. How do you see these movements that are inspired by this fear?
Right. So how do I see people pushing AI into a place where it shouldn't be? Or to
the places that AI did not supposed to be.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean that's a tricky one. I think I think like there's where different people feel like AI should be is always going to be different depending on your business, right? Like, and of course, there's people who think AI is going to come for their job and so on, and I really don't think it will. I really think it's going to give everybody superpowers, or already is giving people superpowers. But of course, look, there's places where it really shouldn't be, and I suppose that's pretty down to like decision making. I think is the biggest one in my mind that jumps to mind, or the final output. Like any content pipeline you make with AI, or any revision process you make with AI, which it's super easy these days with tools like NoLoco, automation platforms like Make or Zapier. You always want to make sure that the AI is just helping you get to the answer rather than giving you the answer. I think that's the biggest one, right? When AI is, deciding who you should hire, or AI is writing all of your content posts, the quality is going to go down because you've lost the oversight. The way I look at it always is AI is basically a very good intern. So if you'd be happy to give your hiring decisions to an AI or to an intern, or you'd be happy to let all of your content be written by an intern, so be it. But that's likely the expected the quality of that output is going to kind of relate to the ability, right? So you want to have oversight. So what you instead want to do is you want to let the AI, just stack rank some people, and you can test, hey, is this kind of correct? Has it come to an approximate, solution? And if it's writing your content, you want to make sure it's writing 80% of that content, and then you're fine tuning the rest, making sure it's matching your keywords, making sure it's on brand, making sure it's making sense and factual, right? So it's a huge time saver, but it's not taking all of that time away. It's certainly not taking away any jobs. That's the way I'm looking at it in any case.
Amazing. And I'm following NoLoco for, I think, 2 years. I lived in Dublin for some time, and I'm following, and I am pretty, I am loving your story of growth. And I'd like you to tell us a story about some customer that, used NoLoco for growth, or, transformed their business with NoLoco. I'd like to hear a story of your customer, if you can share with us.
Absolutely, yeah. Like one of my favorite stories is a customer called Pressworks, right? And because it's so simple, right? So Pressworks is a Norwegian-based what am I trying to say? A Norwegian-based multimedia production company, right? So they produce videos on behalf of their clients, basically. And what they did was they built their production system, their financial system, their CRM, and their client portal all inside NoLoco, right? All that boils down to is basically project management. But anytime I tell this story, people ask like, hey, but why is NoLoco any different than if you're doing project management, why aren't you using something like Jira or Trello? Like, project management has been solved, like, don't get me wrong. But here's where I think project management has been solved for software engineering, or very basic app product development, I suppose. But if you're building a video for a client, you've got to take into account so many different things. You've got to take in, like, the actors that might need to be in that video, the set that you might need to book, the locations, the scripts, the equipment you need to hire or that you already have, and make sure that's all available on the day. There's just so many more moving parts that need to be managed, right? And that's what project management really is. And there's very few off-the-shelf solutions that can do that. So Bjorn, the founder of Pressworks, a small business, like I said, I think less than 20 employees, or maybe mostly even contractors, he's been able to do the work of a much larger multimedia production agency by building this platform on NoLoco that manages all of his clients, all of the projects of their clients, all of the different pieces that have to go into building these videos for their clients. And then also allows the clients to view that in real time to see, hey, where is this? What's the status of this? What are the deliverables? How can I rate that? How can I approve it? And it's just cut back on all that admin work that he would have had to do over email, which is basically the status quo before these tools. And, if he looks around and looks at what's available, there's nothing on the market that can let him do that without forking over hundreds of thousands to build a custom developer to get that done, So that's one of my favorite stories, because it's just very easy to imagine, very easy to relate to, For Bjorn, it's production management, but for everybody else, maybe it's your accounting, or maybe it's your multimedia production, or maybe it's social media management. Any kind of deliverable can be managed in a way like this.
And do you think, is it a trend where the companies would be able to do more with less resources and less people in their structures?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Again, another quote from one of our customers is that he's able to do with 2 people what another firm of 10 people would be able to do, right? Because so much work is just copying and pasting from emails and pasting into a CRM, or answering emails all day, or moving things around, moving files around, getting approval manually for things. These days you can automate everything. You can build better interface for your data, for your work, and that's where people are saving hours every day for sure. And these tools just weren't available 2-3 years ago.
And we see a movement called vibe coding, where the people use AI agents to make these codes of software and apps. Do you see we are going to face something like vibe working in some future?
Yeah, like I definitely do, in the sense of I think everybody's gonna have their personal intern, right? And that's all that these are, right? They're very highly skilled interns that know a lot but aren't very great at anything in particular. And everybody has the luxury of one of those. So you can bounce ideas off them. You can ask them to do the basic work, get you to 80%, and then you finish it off yourself. And I absolutely think that's where we're going to go. Platforms like NoLoco as well, integrating these kind of assistants into it, having access to your data, can then spin up reports and different views of your data then in real time, which is going to be absolutely huge for people who just need insights into their data, be able to share that with other people in their team, be able to share it with maybe other agents. I don't know, maybe that's the way we're going. But I definitely think it's going to move beyond the coding aspect of it. I really think that the average person shouldn't need to be coding at all. I think it's still the wrong medium. It's just very easy to kind of do at the moment with these models, but in reality, there's another medium that's going to make you more efficient.
Nice. And now I think there are lots of people trying to predict how it will be our future, right? And I'd like to understand, in your point of view, what do you predict will become the norm in the next 12 months? Because, today we see a news and tomorrow there is another news and everything changed. And in your point of view, what do you think, how do you think it will be our future in next month?
Yeah. it's really hard to know. Things are moving so quickly. Like I want to say something like, all of our data is going to be interconnected. Business will be able to make really easy decisions. Something like ChatGPT or Claude is going to have all your answers or all your data. But in truth, MCP, which is kind of model context protocol, the kind of solution to this, that was only shipped like I think less than 6 months ago. So it's very even hard to say if that'll exist in 12 months. But I do think that if we kind of follow that trend, that's where we're going to go, is where people will be able to have answers to their data, spin up, resources like databases, dashboards, things much quicker than before. Everything that we kind of previously used automations for will be just slightly more connected through Make and Zapier, to just make it easier to kind of get your job done. I find it very difficult to kind of predict out 12 months what will be the absolute norm, because I don't know if I would have predicted all of this, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
So I think to make the future, we have to move now. So what's one simple workflow any manager could automate this week using no code or AI, in your opinion?
Yeah, I had a good think about this one. What's one workflow that a manager could automate with AI?
Just to start to see the results as soon as it's possible.
Yeah, I think the easiest one is usually to integrate some agent or chatbot with your project management system or your content system, and get it to do weekly summaries. A lot of people spend time doing reports to share with their direct, or to the people they report to, their managers or their skip level managers. And their managers want to know, hey, what moved the needle this week, what changed, what worked well, what didn't. And I think one super easy way is to start feeding all that information into a database like NoLoco or something else like Airtable, and use AI like an MCP or using any of the built-in agents to just kind of get it to generate those summaries. I don't know if that's the best answer. The really difficult thing about my job is that everyone's business is so unique, even though it doesn't look unique. And every app that we work with, every workflow that we work with is just super tailored to their own business, right? So it's really difficult to kind of give, across the board decisions. One thing that worked really well for me was hiring. We have our NoLoco app to handle hiring, and we implemented AI to just kind of do a first level screening, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. Now, a lot of applications, systems, ATSs already do this sort of thing anyway, or have all kind of started to do it. So it's probably not necessary. But if you're a smaller business that hasn't forked over for one of those and you're currently doing applications through Google Form or just LinkedIn, it's a great way to get started, I would say. Or the kind of reporting method that I mentioned before.
And do you have any templates or maybe building blocks in NoLoco that users can use to start fastly on that?
Yeah, we do. Templates are super great on NoLoco because they give you a really good idea of the different things that NoLoco is good at. But my absolute favorite way to get started with NoLoco is actually just signing up, and we ask you 4 or 5 questions. And those 4 or 5 questions generate you a unique app with AI. So we actually ask what your problems are. So not in your personal life, obviously in your team. So we want to know, are you trying to track clients? Are you trying to keep track of invoices? Are you trying to keep clients updated? That sort of thing. And depending on like what 3 to 9 answers you give, we generate an app that's kind of a good starting point for you, including workflows and automations and permissions, and of course the interface to that app as well. We find that that's a lot better than templates, because ultimately what we've set out to do at NoLoco is to allow you to build custom software. So if you're out there looking for custom software, it's very likely that an off-the-shelf template for a CRM is not what you're looking for. That's how I'd like to think about it, because ultimately everybody is looking for something unique. But the templates are a really great way to figure out that, hey, we're really good at hiring, we're really good at managing your project, we're really good at managing your invoices, these types of things, to give you ideas about how we might do these types of things.
Amazing. And I am following lots of people struggling with AI and no code. I'd like to understand if you have some advice to give them. I am pretty sure there are lots of people watching us thinking, okay, I understood that AI and no code is very important for my company, but how can I start this? So if you give them an advice, the first step to apply AI or no code, what it would be.
Yeah, I think the first thing you should do is just kind of look at what you do every single day, and figure out what's paining you the most, I suppose. So, like for me, one of those things was looking at our support conversations and trying to figure out, are some of these conversations about bugs, or some of these conversations about our guides, or some of these conversations about billing. And at a certain volume, that became too difficult. So all I did was step back and go, hey, this is the task that I'm doing, and I tried to identify how I could fix that. So what NoLoco can help you there is you start storing those conversations in NoLoco, and then use something like our AI fields, which are a really easy way to get started with AI. So you can just say, hey, look at these columns in your data, look at these fields in your data, and give me an answer. So what I did was I made a categorization field that said, hey, this intercom conversation is about a book or about a product question, etc. So that's a really easy way to get started with automated AI, because you don't have to do it with API keys, you don't have to do it with API requests, none of that stuff that the average user shouldn't need to know about, right? It's just AI integrated into your business data with no real integration headache, I suppose.
We know that people love shortcuts. What are the low-hanging fruits most companies are missing when it comes to operational efficiency?
Wow, yeah, that's a good one. If you look at, I think most companies, they're really just not leveraging some of these automation platforms like Zapier and Make. And it comes down to everything, whether it's for billing, whether it's for customer comms, whether it's for marketing ops. They can just make sure your data is connected, so that it's nobody's job to make sure the CRM is up to date with your billing database, or that your CRM is up to date with your Stripe. There's just so much you can do there to automate the way your business runs, right? So maybe it's when you get a new customer, you send them an email to onboard them, or maybe it's when you get a new lead, there's you try and send them an invitation to an upcoming webinar. And all of those things, I think they're just really easy to automate and personalize as well with AI. With platforms like with Make and Zapier, or any other automation platform, to be perfectly honest. And all you really need to do, again, is just look at the repetitive things you do each and every week and go, hey, how can I make this super simple for me? And how can I cut this out so I'm not doing it every day?
Amazing. Yeah, arriving unfortunately at the end of this conversation. I could be here for more hours, of course, but we have to respect our time, unfortunately. So I'd like to give you, Darragh, space to share your social media of NoLoco as well, and Rodrigo as well after Darragh, please.
Of course, yeah. No, this has been really great, really fun conversation. So thank you so much, Darragh and Rodrigo. Much appreciated. But you can find me personally at Darragh McKay on most channels. So it's Darragh, DarraghMckay. The GH in my name is silent, I should say. It's a tricky Irish name. And then NoLoco, of course, we're on NoLoco on LinkedIn, and NoLoco HQ on Twitter, I think Instagram as well. But also you'll find most of our stuff on noloco.io, where you can sign up and get started. We have a free plan, and then we also offer a 14-day free trial of any of our paid plans, where you can get all of our best features. And you can also reach out to me anytime through the support. Just give me a shout. We'd be more than happy to help you get started with your no-code and AI automation journey.
Okay, you can find me at the social networks as prior.rodrigo. And if you wanted to understand more on Wisely, you can go to wisely.pro, and we can offer you a free diagnosis of your operation to help you to understand more deeper where to improve your campaigns, and we can find more about Wisely and understand which scenarios could be more effective to our operations to drive more sales. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. And I'd like to thank you all to watch our video, our conversation. I was here following our questions and also, thinking a lot about the answers. It was amazing for me. And I hope for both of you was amazing as well. Darren, thank you so much. You know how I admire Noloco and all your growth and what you're doing. Thank you so much to be here with us. And Rodrigo as well. And I'd like to invite all of you to follow Octobox on social media. We are having this kind of conversation with lots of good professionals. So I think you will be very insightful for you as well. Thank you so much and see you soon.